stuff.
Yes.
I don't know about that. Okay, is it 7? I guess everybody's about here that's gonna make it, huh? Well, y'all, first of all, thanks Jeff and Carmen for having us here this weekend. We're about to kick off a series of seminars, I guess tonight being the first one, and you had to get up and get gone early or whatever. Tomorrow at 7, what time tomorrow?
11 and 2.
11 and 2 both days, right? Saturday and Sunday? Or maybe just one Sunday?
Just 2 on Sunday.
One on Sunday.
Just 2 o'clock on Sunday.
Okay,
2 o'clock.
check that. Sure.
Right here.
I hadn't even paid attention. We'll be here in the aisles, though, honestly, prior to those times. And we've been here for a couple hours tonight and in and out. But any individual questions you want to fire at us, we'll try our best to answer best we can. And thanks to Bass Pro for having us. And hopefully we can help you catch a few more fish next time you hit the water. I don't know that, but we'll do our best. I had to be careful sometimes what I say. I got some fierce competitors here in the audience. I have to watch what I say. I tell them way too much. They'll beat me in the next tournament, so I have to watch out. Big Stanley down here, he works for Fish and Wildlife. Yeah, he does. Down here in Mississippi. Got another competitor over here, Drew Morgan. I'm on Drew Morgan. What am I saying? Drew Scott. But anyway, that's really the only reason they're here, to find out my little tricks that I'm about to tell y'all. So I got to be careful on that. But anyway, I'm glad y'all made it. Maybe I'll help you out. So what we've decided to do, rather than a PowerPoint and me try to go through a couple of techniques or whatever, start to finish, is to hopefully create just a conversation about crappie fishing tonight, and in a kind of a relaxed deal, and just let it roll question-wise. If you have anything come to mind, it don't matter what it is, as long as it's about crappie. We'll try to give you an answer, our own answer, and it might not be the best one, but we'll do our best, and just go from there on stuff. I mean, we the last couple years now, we've really concentrated fishing competitively for crappie on one circuit, and it's been the American Crappie Trail. And in my opinion, it's probably the most competitive trail out there. I do believe it's the most honest trail, and it's just too many tournaments to make it to try to compete on all circuits anymore and do good. So we've settled in to fish the American Crappie Trail, and it has made leaps and bounds the last few years. I think I'll get plenty more people say the same thing, but don't be scared to come and try fishing one of those tournaments. I don't care how young, how old, husband, wife, it don't matter. I guarantee you, if you come, it'll be worth the money you'll learn in stuff that you'll learn just being there. And if you halfway do decent, you're definitely going to pay for your expenses at the same time. So American Crappie Trail is very hard to beat. Check them out online, and I think you'll see soon that there'll be some pro-am events. I just got the news that they did cancel the first one. They tried to get something off the ground real early in the year here, and I really think we had a lot of people out of pocket, and they're actually getting new boats. I know I'm getting a new boat this year, and my other one's about to sink, right? So there's just a few reasons why I think he couldn't get enough pros. He had so many amateurs that was unreal. He didn't have enough pro people to take the amateurs. So we're missing some people with boats on the pro side that want to go. Hopefully that'll change on the next go around. I think he's got another one scheduled, and so that's just something very brand new. I tell you what, if you hadn't ever went with somebody crappie fishing, it'd probably be worth the money to just do that. And if you can possibly get in, I know we'll be both involved in all that as soon as we get our rigs and stuff in order. But it just happened a little quick for us this time. So anyway, is there a question I could get started with, or anybody? I don't care what it is, techniques or lakes. We'd love to just start out by answering some off-the-wall questions about crappie fishing and see where we get with this thing.
Your largest fish.
The largest fish for me? 369. The biggest one I ever caught, it was at Grenada. You know, we've caught many fish, and it's a big statement to say you've ever caught a 3-pound crappie. I just congratulate. How many people has ever really scale weighed caught a 3-pound crappie? Yeah, we got 3 or 4. I'm telling you, to catch a 3-pound crappie is a congratulations. Because I'm telling you, I spent many hours. Matter of fact, had we not come down south, I guess when we did, we probably wouldn't ever caught one. Our lake just don't produce 3-pound crappie. That's the thing. You go where they live, then you got a better chance, right? So we've caught many, and at one time I think we had kept up with 5 different states that we had caught a 3-pound crappie in. Is that right? 5 or 6 states, maybe 6 states that we had caught a fish over 3 pounds in. A pretty big statement right there for us. But we have caught many in Grenada, and in one tournament we've caught 3. Caught 3 over 3 in one tournament down at a 14 fish limit weighed 37.98. I won't never forget that day. 37.98. 14 fish, 7 each day. 37.98. Yeah. So that's what I can remember off the top of my head. But I'm telling you guys, you're probably in the heyday of crappie fishing. I think the DNR definitely has got behind the management, the fisheries management of the fish that we're chasing. And I remember the days when I'd come down here and fish, and we used to weigh 20 fish in a tournament, believe it or not, way back in the day. And today we only weigh 7, so it's quite a difference. But I can give you a number that I'll never forget too. This is kind of pretty cool to remember, and give you an idea of where we started in fish management, maybe back in the day, and then where we at now. I had 20 fish that we called them Sardis Lake, and this was when I was had to be 1989 or 90. 20 crappie weighed 26.88. We won it. So you see what kind of fish we're catching now compared to then. And you know, it's really a tribute to the management that Mississippi has done, I think, to bring it to where it's at. You don't realize that till you look back, but we thought they were big then, but man, they big now, really. You know, you better have a big stringer here at these lakes. We better have over a 2-pound average to win these lakes down here anymore. And that was in the springtime too. I remember it being early in the spring. Water was pretty high. Yeah. So
I still got pictures of it.
Been a long time ago. I was wearing Murray State University shirt. That's when I first started playing ball. Drew, I know you've got questions. Anybody got a question about a lake or anything? Oh, yes, sir. Come on. Favorite lake to fish? You know, I get asked that all the time. Me and Steve, we like every one of them. The favorite lake, as far as catching numbers and size together, is very hard to beat. It'd be Sardis right here. It has been over the years, and the biggest producer of fish in that kind, you know, a large size category that I can tell you about. But home lake, I can't deny it. We live at Reelfoot Lake, and that's always a great fun day to go on the lake we grew up on. So it's a whole different program there. We fish different structure and different depth, and it's just a swamp where this is kind of a reservoir system, but a little different. But we like them all. Honestly, it's a real fun deal for us to go to a lake we've never been to before. That's pretty cool to do, and go without any information about the lake from anybody, and try to figure it out. So that would be the opposite of a lot of people. They would be like looking online and trying to find all that. Sometimes we just do much better if nobody says a word to us before we get there and do our thing. So
how do you do that?
Well, I'm speaking from our library. You know, all the years we've been. I'm telling you, everything we do is kind of based on something that's been happening, you know, down the road that we've done before, and every lake we go to, we relate to what we've seen on a different lake somewhere, and a situation and the depth and the water color and you name it, and the way fish act sometimes. But there's definitely a different attitude among lakes. You know, fish act way different at Reelfoot than they do here in Mississippi. On the reservoirs, there's much fluctuations. That's a big difference. Our lake fluctuates maybe a couple feet, and you know, the lakes here is 20 feet. It makes a huge difference in how they move, how the fish will move in the spring, and also how quick they'll spawn. They'll run shallow in that really fresh water, high water back in the coves and stuff where they got access to some fresh dirt, and the water seems to warm up quicker. They spawn quicker. Our spawn kind of lags. It'll be toward the end of April, even into May at Reelfoot, where they're already 15th of April here. They're fired up pretty good here, I'm sure. So, what you got, Big Stanley? Come on now, I know you want to hear something. How many people have made it to the Garmin stage of crappie fishing lately? Bottom of Garmin, got one, got a couple of Garmins. Anybody else heard about it? About the new technology lately? Got 3? Yeah. How long y'all had it? How long you been running it? Thanksgiving, all right. Well, how about you? How long you had it? You got?
I got
We're,
first time they came out with them.
Is that right?
Got them over $5.99.
Well, you ought to be an expert by now, then, right?
I can see them.
Yeah. Well, you see a jig and the whole 9 yards. Well, that's all you need to do. You know, we've there's been people that had them about 2 years now or more, I believe, and they're doing very well with them.
Oh yeah, I'm getting better every time I go out.
That's
It's
right.
not going up.
That's right. We had ours we had about 6 months worth of experience there when we got ours, and boy, did we learn a whole lot with that thing. And you know, some of our imaginations was coming true, but some of them was completely different than what we imagined too. So, if you don't have one, I've said it before, the side imaging that come out years ago, I told everybody they'd have them one, and most of them do now. And that 360, I told them they'd have one of them, they mostly do. You'll have your Garmin too, the live scope. I don't know what's next. I don't know how I could get much better, but it keeps getting better, it seems like to me. So I can answer what I know about the Garmin, and I don't know if it'll help you out much, but definitely we started depending on it and trying to hybridize our technique versus fishing with one pole like a lot of them are doing anymore. We're trying to combine a 6-pole spread and push those baits to the fish we're looking at. I mean, it's no problem. Once you learn what a crappie looks like, it's daylight and dark. I mean, if he's suspended, he's in trouble. You know, you can tell what you're looking at. But we're just basically trying to push a jig to their face versus pitching it. The pitching thing in some situations is being more effective, I think, pitching to them versus pushing, because we're starting to deal with the spook factor. I never knew there was that many fish in some places that really are spooky. Before you even get within 25 foot, they're getting out of there. They know you're there. So it's amazing to see that thing, and some of the community holes per se, where it's always good, you can always catch crappie there. Trust me, they are a lot of crappie in those places. We kept going through one, and they would just scatter like they left or right, just let us go right on through, and you would turn around and go right back through it, and they were right back there again. They don't want to leave it, but they'll sure get out of your way, and that's just smart fish. So I tell you, it's just great to know there's that many fish there. Catching them off guard is another deal. We've done quite a few different things that we not normally would have done, being that we have that technology. So it's been a lot of fun. I'll tell you next year how it progresses for us. But any other questions, y'all? I mean, I'm rambling, I know. Yes, Stanley. Man, they're I'm sure and I know from experience, definitely, sometimes big fish are in an area. But I'm telling you, what we've seen so far, our fish have been mixed. The fish have been, here's some numbers for you. I might have already told you, I don't know. But the tournament at Grenada this year, we caught 46 fish in that last day. We caught 46 fish in the tournament that day. We was fishing with 6 rods, BGJPs, 8-pound line on 1/8 ounce jig head, tip minnow. We pushed those jigs around all day. There was 46 fish that come in the boat. We knew that 40 of them was going to bite before they bit. I mean, when you push the jig, I mean, you know which pole's going to get the bite before you get the bite. We may have to adjust the depth. If you're too deep, you crank her up or let her down, drop her down, or grab the pole and let it down, something. But you know which pole is about to intersect with the fish. And so out of 46, we knew 40 was going to get in the boat. There were 6 that come from I don't know where and got on the hook that day. The crazy thing is, of the 6, one of them 6 was the biggest fish we had all day. Where'd he come from? I don't know, but I tell you what, it paid off us having our 6 rods out versus flipping 1 in that regard, that day. I say that because we did catch the biggest fish of the day that we didn't know he was going to catch. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth about one day. The next day would have probably definitely been different, but we kind of kept up with it that day. He probably had already been spooked and was coming in behind us. It's been what we've seen on there. When you start to get close to a fish, they already know you're there. I don't know if it's the pinging or the pressure from the boat. They know you're there. They know you're there for sure. They're gonna go either to the left or to the right. It's very seldom that you see one go straight away. He knows you're there, so he wanting you to get on by him, and he's wanting to get right back to where he was at before you scared him. So he's trying to make a circle, a half moon. Now I understand why some of the women that I've guided in the past, sitting in the back of the boat, always catch the big ones of the day. Because they trying to get back where they wanted to be before you showed up. And they'll either go right or left, and they're kind of going under your motor to get back. So that's why they're getting some big bites back there on the back sometimes. And so that's probably where I caught that big fish. You know, I already spooked him, and he was circling to come back, and he felt safe about biting. I don't know, but I know that we're learning more by being able to see the fish than we've ever imagined learning. You know, about the way they act, and so we'll nail down some problems we've had catching them, I think, in the next few months when we get some eyers on the water. But honestly, using that thing is the Garmin is really training your eye to what you're seeing is a big. I think that's key to the game. I'm dropping out. Okay. So my eyes almost never come off of the screen.
You got yours on the pole or is it on the trolling?
These questions: did I have my transducer mounted on a pole or on my trolling motor? I've done all those. We done the trolling motor to start with, and I think that's the standard for most people. And it's really, really good if you're by yourself. If you're fishing with a partner, it's another program. But if you're by yourself, that's the way to have it. I say that. But in the effort to manage my boat, I lose sight of the fish. And that's always a problem. So I can't deal with that. If I get a big fish in my sight, I sure don't want to lose sight, because if you lose sight and he moves any, just say he's turned sideways when you first see him, and then you're trying to adjust the boat, and then you try to find him again, he's already turned this way. It's a whole different view for you. They don't even look like you might miss it completely, miss the fish completely if he moves. So what I do now is we've got the smallest foot control trolling motor, and we attached it to the Ultrex. We're running the Ultrex with a 360 mount for the Ultrex, And then we bought the Minn Kota Edge trolling motor and actually disassembled the lower unit. There's no motor on it, just the shaft. And the pedal to that trolling motor sits right under my seat. And I got it on an elevated block of wood, and all I do is just raise and lower the foot pedal with my fingers. I used to do both feet. It hurt my back a little bit. It got to be a little chore there doing that, so it's much easier to keep my left foot on the trolling motor that's taking care of the boat. And then I got the pedal elevated where I look like a baseball catcher almost sitting there, and I'm lifting and up and down, up and down. I'm constantly, as my foot pedal moves up and down, you're looking out there at the arrow. That's where your transducer is shooting. So up and down means shh, 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 shh. So I'm left and right with my transducer, just fanning is all I'm doing. And I'm fanning pretty fast, trying to find a fish. I'm covering some ground. And once I do, once we peg one, I'll immediately start managing the boat, slowing it down to try to push a bait right to him. It's either do that or pitch to him like a lot of people are doing with one pole. And that's a personal preference. We may migrate to doing just that, may cover more ground, I'm not sure. But at the moment, we're trying to hybridize the technique of what we used to do versus what the technology at our fingertips right now.
As long as I can find some fish on a brush pile, I got it on a spotlight, I sit there, I got it on my
The old tricks,
fishing
definitely.
specialty pole.
Yeah, well, the Garmin, you can see every fish in there. You can see every one of them. Sit there all day till you catch every one, I guess, if you can trick them. But usually you never catch every one of them. But on structure, that I've been kind of speaking of suspended fish so far. But on structure, the Garmin, it's awesome. Yeah, it's basically just get the hook to the
I never
fish.
figured out how to chase the fish down.
Well, one of our first ones that really just blew our mind really was we was at Grenada this year and I said, let's just go out in the middle of the lake. We was at 20, 30 foot of water, and I said, let's find a crappie. And so we went for about 15 minutes, pretty quick, and bam, sure enough, a big, we call it a torch, or it looks almost like a spotlight out there, and they'll glow like a. So anyway, we started to ease up on him, and we're just going to drop one jig down on him, and did, and we kind of pitched at him a little too quick. It's probably 20, 25 foot. Really, you need to be within 15 foot if you got a 14-foot pole. Well, we pitched at him a little quick, whatever reason. Maybe the jig hit his tail. It spooked the fish. Here you go. So he moved pretty quick at the start. I believe we zoomed out. I'm usually dialed in on like 45 foot when I'm getting ready to put a hook on him. So he was going so fast I couldn't catch up with him. Had to roll her out to about 65, 70 foot, just to keep up with that fish. Because he's trucking. And yeah, going in a curve again. But he ran about 100 yards, and then he finally stopped again. And we was a little bit better, done a better job at putting the jig on him this time. And yeah, thump, it was like 223 at Grenada. That was the very first one we ever chased down. That's just our experience and I looked at him, I says, no wonder they're wearing us out with this thing, it's pretty easy. It's really easy, matter of fact, and a lot of fun, whole lot of fun. It's like two eyes down there where we've been just imagining with a blindfold on before, we're seeing now. So it's a whole different program. So that was our first experience, and we've migrated a little from then, but that deep water is a whole lot more challenging to do that with 6 rods versus the shallower water. So we were in about 8 foot of water when we was pushing all the jigs. You get in deep water, it's another program. One jig may be the answer when you start fishing deep, suspended fish. So any other questions on the live scope at all that I can help you with? At all?
Well,
Anything?
I'm curious, why did you go from 8 rods to 6? Normally, if you're
The 8th one has never really been, it's been in our way more than it's been a fishing. over the years. I say that. If I'm honestly, the technology is the main reason too. But that 8th rod is a lot of trouble. I'm gonna tell you. I like to spread the distance on my 6 versus having to crunch 8 on my bow and tighten everything up. I think in the fall for sure, fish are more spooky when you start pushing a wall at them. And I'm calling 8-minute rigs a wall. It looks like a wall coming at them. I mean, you know, that's a lot of stuff coming at a fish. And it seems like to me I had more success catching fish with less pole and had a bigger spread. They can find it, trust me. I mean, they're gonna find it if you get close enough. That within a few feet of him, he's gonna get it. And so the 8th pole's kind of in their way some. There's been times I know it has helped. Sometimes we'll run a really long pole on the outside, like an 18 or 20 footer even. We've done that just to cover some ground we wouldn't otherwise cover. And then we'll have like 14s and 16s on the center, usually 16s and then an 18 or 20 on the outside. So any shape that you come up with there, I really believe you're better off. The bigger spread, the better, I think. That's my opinion.
Dennis and I go fishing down at Sardis a lot. And to have more room in the boat, he sits in the back and I sit in the front. He's got 4 poles in the back and I got 4 poles in the front.
Right.
And he out fishing his lots of time.
On the back.
On the back.
I don't. You know why now? I told you why. Yes, sir.
I figured it out.
Yes, sir. They are spooking. 25 foot is a magic number for a fish that is a spooky, a pressured fish. I say that in an area where there's been a lot of pressure. That 25 foot point. When you find him, I'm running 45. When I see him out there, or I may see him at 40 or 45, way out, and I start toward him. When I can break that 25 foot mark on that grid, I know we got a chance. But when you get at 25 and he says, I don't know about these boys, and he starts this right here, you get in trouble. What you need to be able to do at that point, in my opinion, is to pitch to him and be a very, very good pitcher. It depends on the depth and the weight of the bait you're using. But if you could put a bait in front of him, you may have a chance then. But I can't tell you how many we run off at 45 foot or 25 foot versus ones we was able to get a hook to. So yeah, when I got to see all that, I was like, well, fishermen are probably never going to hurt these fish down here as many as there are, because I mean you're actually sitting there just looking at them. So it's an eye opener for sure. Okay, y'all. Any questions? Anything else? I know Big Stanley, you got something. Yep. Yep. Yeah, you know, if I'm taking my time with some structure, I'm probably going to use the lightest thing available. I'm going to tell you, the lighter you can go, line and bait size, the more bites you're going to get, hands down. If you, yep. 16. I tell you, one of our favorite sets of equipment is a BGJP. We love these poles right here has made us more money than any pole, I guess, day in and day out. There's situations for others, but as far as a 16th ounce jig, 6 pound line on a 6720 fluker. I mean, I just have to say, if you want a top end reel, those are the ones that you can count on. There's all kinds of other bargain reels out there that probably won't last you as long as that one will. We abuse them and they go with us. But 6 rods, BGJP, 14 BGJPs. We'll use 14s flugers, 6 pound line on 16th ounce. I'll take it just about anywhere I go and compete with it. One bait. If I'm going to get in some open water, I'll use a caption Coleman pole, a little heavier. You may want to go to PST, but you start going to 3/4, maybe even up to 1 ounce. Like at Gunnersville last year, we did that. and I'll push that mini rig. There's another thing that won't ever not be in our boat. It'll be the mini rig set of poles. So those two sets, you can count on us having a jig set and a rig set. I've said that many times to a lot of people. Most people, they do carry them, and it's best to carry two sets simply so you don't have to rig up, change line, and you know, I know it's kind of hard to buy a whole set of 8 or 16 poles or whatever at one time, but in the long run, it'll come in handy for you having two sets for sure.
Ronnie, when do you decide between just a double mineral rig versus jigs and
We let depth determine a lot for us. If I get over 12 foot and I'm having a hard time covering some real estate, I will more than likely be mini rigging. If I'm in some super heavy structure at a shallow depth, I'll more than likely be fishing with a single jig. They will bite both just about any time. I tell you, it's not they was biting mini rigs or they was biting jigs. I'm telling you, put it in front of their nose. If it's a nice bait, they're gonna probably bite it. It all really comes down to how efficient you can be at presenting that bait. And you get over 12 or 15 foot and try to present a 16th ounce jig in a trolling situation where you're covering just suspended fish, you're not going to be very effective. Yes, dropping it straight down into a stake bed or a brush top or a stump, whatever, yeah. If the wind's high, ain't gonna happen. Good calm day, yeah, 16. So the depth and also the weather factor would come into play before anything else sometimes would on what we would put in the water. But most of the time, ultra shallow water, less than 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, we're pushing jigs to catch a few more bites. Those mini rigs, that 1/4 and 3/8, it's our go-to, as long as there's not a whole lot of structure. And a lot of things go through my mind. I'm at home, we're pushing, this time of year, we'll be pushing through lily pad stems with a single 16th on 6. Those lily pad stems are thick as those poles right there on that rack, in some places. But that's where they want to be. That's where the fish in our lake love to stay this time of year. It can be froze over, and they're still in those. They never leave those lily pad fields. And it's 3 or 4 foot of water is all it ever gets, but they won't leave at home. So yeah. Yep.
Do you do anything special to the bars? Do you bend them out, or do you put rubber bands on them?
We've been dead set on using Gamakatsu hooks, which has a tiny barb. They're ultra sharp, and they're really expensive if you want to compare the price to some of the other ones. But I tell you, you're going to be out there with all the equipment we got, don't go short on a hook. It's almost like going duck hunting with a cheap shotgun shell. Don't do that either. So those Gamakatsus have been our favorite, and it's a round bend with a round head, and we have them custom made. We got some right here on the, I think, who's that make?
What size hook? A number?
All right.
that's double cross.
A number two eagle claw is the size that we like for live bait fishing. Eagle claw. If you want to compare the exact size to a Gamakatsu, it's a number 1 Gamakatsu. You overlay a number 1 Gamakatsu on a number 2 eagle claw, and it'll be exactly the same. So make sure you buy a number 1 jig hook if you're going to pour some yourself or whatever. But they've got all the equipment to do that right there. I've thought about it so many times, but we got a guy that does it for us, and I tell you, that's a whole nother bunch of fun you can have, rigging up your own, making your own jig heads. But it's pretty satisfying to do that. But we do. Excuse me.
Painted or not?
Yeah, we've used just plain lead heads. We've used black, white. There's some favorite colors, but the hot candy pink has been at the top of our list of colors for a long time. And I don't know how to tell you why, other than we got confidence in it, and it sure does work for us. So I don't knock any color that anybody likes, as long as you got confidence in it. Just stay with it. But I do favor chartreuse being in my combination of some sort. So we'll use a hot candy pink on a lime and chartreuse and start out with that just about anywhere we go. Those at home, it's just, you better have it at home. I know that. So, you know, we've got a lot of confidence in the hot candy pink. It's bright. It's a bright color. It shows up. They're curious fish. They'll definitely go to some of the bright colors, neon colors that's on the market today. Crappie Magnet just missed, got some very nice stuff out there. He's given us some to try, and definitely quality stuff. But there's plenty more too. There's all kinds of variety there. But I would include chartreuse in my color scheme. If you're dealing with a real clear water lake, sometimes blue and white combination is a very good color. I always try to incorporate some scent to that jig, and you know, a lot of times minnow is our favorite to go to, as long as it's allowed in the tournaments. We'll tip with a live minnow, smaller one. At a certain time of year, in the early part of the spawn, all the way through the spawn, we tip with wax worms commonly. That's just something we always have done. The male fish cannot leave that thing alone for sure, but females will get it too. It's a very attractive scent, I'll put it that way, at the time when fish are nested. I really think I think they want to get rid of it more than they want the food. They look at it like a predator to their nest, basically, I think, more so than a food source. So they definitely bite the fire out of it, know that. So you might want to try that maybe when the spawn starts to roll around. When the old males start getting a little color to them, start coloring up, it's time to give them a shot. Yeah. Hope I got your questions there. Anything else, y'all, that I can, about anything, name it. Yeah. You know, there's any variety. You can loop knot a jig, but honestly, I guess from when we was a kid, we got accustomed to tying the clinch knot, improved clinch knot, and tying it tight versus a loop knot that's loose. We'll tie it tight, and I'll roll it. I'll roll it around to make my jig set right. If you don't roll it, you know what your jig kind of sets like most of the time. I'll sometimes excessively roll it, and I'll have actually, my hook's actually sticking up in the air if you roll it far enough. It'll be sticking up like this versus normal, like a loop knot. Here's a loop knot. There's our clinch when it's tight. But it's also a little bit of, every time you bait it or catch a fish, you got to do that. But I don't know, it's worked for us, so we're gonna stick with it. We know how it works, how the knot works. Do I add another swivel? Straight clinch knot there too. Yep, I don't use there's some people that use clips where they can swap them out, whatever. We'll tie a straight knot on there. Those inline barrel swivels, three-way swivels, good quality black ones is the ones we like to use. A number 8, I believe, 7 or 8, depending on which brand you get. So the smaller the better. There's no sense in having more. When you're trying to push a minnow rig, the less friction you have pushing it, the better. So the smaller the swivel, believe it or not, it's micro, but still, it matters friction-wise when you're covering it in water at the end of the day. It's going to slow you down to have something there bigger than you need. No sense in having a big swivel. And also the line size makes a huge difference too. You'll get more bites the smaller you can fish, but everybody wants to fish 2-pound line and be the strength of 50, and that's impossible. So you have to find a happy medium. Talking about line size, many times we've said for sure we'd rather be fishing big line and be fishing, not broke off, than we had small line and be tying knots all day. So that's kind of our go-to deal there. If it takes 20 pounds to keep me from breaking off wherever I'm fishing, then that's what I'm gonna keep fishing with. You know, you'll catch fish. I don't care how big a line is. You might not catch as many, but you won't be tying new line on every second. So you can't catch them when your hook's not in the water, right?
What's your go-to speed?
Go-to speed from 0 to near 0. How about that? It depends on the temperature of that water. A lot of times, this time of year, I'm telling you, you need to nearly be sitting still to creeping. If I don't know how to tell you, less than your GPS will read. How's that? If it's like 0.1 or 0.2, that's great right now. 0.3 is getting on up there. We've done 0.78, now 1.2, 1.3 with big sinkers in the fall, pushing hard, pushing fast. Right now, you're going to catch more fish almost sitting still. I mean, creeping. You know, the way we do manage the boat to go at those kind of speeds, we typically go downwind. I know a lot of people like to go into the wind, but downwind's awful nice when you got a bad wind for sure, but cold wind too. But downwind, and we'll pull chains. We'll run. We got 10-foot sections, 12-foot. It just depends on how big a boat you got, but we'll run double chains on each side of the boat, and I'll adjust that chain according to the depth of the water. And I usually put 2 chains out, one on each cleat on both of my back corners, and go straight down the flat. You know, if I'm going right down the flat, go straight down the wind, and you can do a very good job at controlling the boat that way. I don't care if it's 30 foot deep.
Power poles or paddles?
If it's shallow enough, I don't have them. I put them on to begin with, and they get more in my way than they're worth. I mean, we're old fashioned. I have to say that a little bit, but some really nice chains. I guarantee you, they got them at Bass Pro right here. Probably those rubber coated ones that won't rust or won't scratch your boat up or whatever. But get you a couple 10-foot chains. Put one on each corner and try it. I think you'll like it. I put a 25-foot rope on that, and I'll have usually some loops in my rope where I'll hook it at random according to the depth and also the wind speed. That's the thing. Before you ever put a hook in the water, you should probably try to get your boat adjusted and find a bank or find a tree going downwind, chunk them chains out both sides, and watch that tree. And when you can adjust that line enough till your boat stops, not where it's still moving a little, make it stop, barely. And then use your trolling motor to pull your boat forward, inch it forward. Just if you can run it on less than 20%, still get a forward movement, pulling that chain down a flat, you got it about right.
These chains on the old tracker I used to have, I got me a new Ranger now, and I started using chains like this.
It make you cringe. But I'm telling you, it don't bother me a bit to pull them in there, and you can shake them off, put them, get you a little bucket, just something to put it in and shake her off. I know I'm telling you, it's been our go-to way for managing the boat for our whole life, and I don't care if it's 2 or 3 foot deep or 20 or 30 foot deep. We'll still go to a chain. We have a variety of chains too with us. Sometimes we'll have to use a huge chain. I got what we call the hurricane chain. It's probably 20 foot long. 3/8 chain. It's a big chain, and we just keep it in case we need it. And it has won us a tournament before. I know, not too long ago. But we were fishing in a treetop that had some white caps on it, and the day we needed to catch a fish, we caught them out of it one day or whatever, and the next day we couldn't get to it because we couldn't fish it right because of the waves, and we got way out lined up downwind, upwind, exactly. So we'd be going downwind right into it, and we put out the hurricane chain, so to speak, along with the other chains too, and I give the trolling motor all I could give it to just to inch us to the perfect spot. And when I got it there, basically it was management of the boat left and right. I didn't have to worry about going any further. I pulled those chains as hard as I could until I got right on it, and we sat there and won the tournament in that one. But trying to manage a boat into the wind, they would have probably been coming over the bow, as bad as it was. But that chain saved our life that day, you know.
Especially on the cold days when you're fighting into the wind.
Yeah, and a power pole sometimes won't reach bottom places for fishing. They're great in shallow water. I can't, a lot of people do a very good job at managing their boat with those things. I just prefer not to. At this point. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, y'all? I had one. You had one a while ago, didn't you? Yeah. You need to check the ones out. Crappie magnets guy too. But we've used all sorts of that. Berkeley's also got some. The crappie nibbles. But the bites, I'm hearing very good things about them. And I'll check them out.
Is that what they are, slab bites?
Slab bites. And they're also a little less expensive, I think, by the way. I hadn't even looked back here, but I'm sure they got them. Did they have them? They got them back here. Yeah. I'm telling you. In some of the tournaments that we fish, live bait's not allowed. So that's the go-to. Some kind of scent. I recommend some kind of scent just about any time. If I got the pole in my hand, it's one thing, but if I'm trying to push it to a fish, I really want some scent on it. Something. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can't give you a good answer on the live scope in the spring yet. Yep. I'm telling you, that's what puts those fish into a mode that I was talking about earlier. 25 foot, no boat will get to them. 25 foot is the limit. It's the craziest thing. We was in a little depression at Grenada in this last tournament of the year down there. It was a real popular spot. A lot of people, they fished on it all week. But you could get close to this thing, and I'm panning as I'm going, and golly, like 5 or 6, you can see 5 or 6 fish with one swipe. I mean, crappie, not fish. For sure, crappie. That's a biggie right there. But when you pan at one time, and you're looking 45 foot in front of them, you see 6 big fish. And go a few more feet and do it again, and there's 8 or 9 fish you can count. And you're starting to lose some because they're starting to spook already. It's like blackbirds, man, running from. They won't let you get too close to them. And I'm amazed at this because they're here, and yeah, I guess you accidentally catch one once in a while, but I never knew that was that many fish that we were spooking. But I'm telling you, they know you're there. I'd really like to know how, whether it's my boat or whether it's the pinging from the transducer and stuff. I don't know that answer. And if you turn all the pinging off, you don't know, right? So, but they definitely know you're there.
Back and forth like that.
When they're feeling the pinging, they're obviously, it's registered with them. This is dangerous, But I'm telling you, you can see them, and when you get 25 foot, that's it. Here they go, coming off. So we're gonna try to figure out how to catch him this year. That's kind of I didn't say that. Yeah, I did. So anyway, we're gonna try to do that this year. But I'll give you a report next year. How about that? I got to get a little bit better at pitching, long distance pitching. I think maybe I could get Danny Brewer or Rick Clun or somebody going. Maybe Hibden. I don't know. It's coming. It's coming. No doubt. Yep. And call them. You may be on something. There's no way to tell. There's no way to prove it. But yeah, them hooks will prove it. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, the scope's been out for a couple of years. We had ours about 6 months. But in the short amount of time it's been out, it's already gotten a lot of attention, a whole lot of attention for all kinds of fishermen. So they've tried basically to make a rod that's effective just using one rod and doing this technique at a distance. And so B&M made one this year, and it's called the Stick. They do not have it. You can order it. But before that, they made the brush. This brush cutter was kind of the go-to It's a lot stiffer than the BGJP, and everybody was using these for pitching to these fish that was getting away. And I'm telling you, a BGJP won't do it. If you try to, we've already done our trying with that. I mean, it just won't work. It's great for pushing and trolling and vertical right there, but when you start pitching at a distance, you got to have some stiffness to it to be able to pitch it. You might want to check out that new rod that they've developed for doing that, and there's a lot of new stuff happening, I'm telling you, out there. And I wish I could tell you a little bit more maybe next year. How about that? But we'll definitely we'll stay after it and see what happens. But it's pretty exciting because somebody that's really never been able to compete on a trail, if they're very good at electronics, and they've been pretty good bass fishermen at pitching a jig in the brush, they may just come and win them an American Crappie Trail, win them a brand new Ranger boat sometime. So y'all make it to some of them tournaments. I didn't see it. There's some faces I hadn't seen, so come on out there. We'll be glad to tell you what we know and get involved and you name it. Any other questions I could answer for y'all? Just be thinking. How about I know it's not real popular in Mississippi, in this area anyway, but dock shooting. Has anybody ever done the dock shooting much? Don't get out of here. Get out of here.
I know Ron has.
He's no dock shooter. He's a bull shooter. How about that? Oh,
Got over the horseshoe.
I got him. So, has anybody ever done that? No, nobody. You have? Yeah, got some. Just not saying, right? You know what? When it's like the weather's like it is, like tomorrow or Sunday when it's going to be really bad. We've sat in the house in the winter when it's been really bad, and practice in the living room. Bad deal it is. But you can get really accurate if you got the right equipment. We started out way back in the day, about 25 years ago, when nobody ever had a dock shooting rod per se, using a solid fiberglass ice rod that they fish through the ice with. So we got some of those, and you could bend them double and it would break. I mean, it was unbelievable. And they had metal guides, so we played with that for quite a few years and got pretty decent at it. But the right lake, it is very, very fun. And especially if you got the right equipment. B&M has a sharp, what they call the sharpshooter dock shooting rod, and quite a few different lengths back there. You can be more accurate the longer you have. You can land more fish the longer. You know, if you had never done that, that's pretty fun.
6 foot, you're about right.
Yep, and you can even go past that. You know, it's really a matter of personal preference and how accurate you want to be. But check out those. They got some of those on the shelf. But a whole lot of fun. There's some dock shooting lakes like down in Gadsden, Alabama. That's probably number one. Any lake that's got a whole lot of docks on it, you'd be surprised how small of a spot you can put a jig with a little practice, and places that nobody else can even vertically put one. So that's pretty fun. Just thought I'd bring it up and got a few dock shooters anyway. Any other questions, y'all? We can talk a day or two about crappie, but come on, Drew. I know you got something, boy. What kind of new motor am I getting? Well, it's a Mercury. New boat, Bass Cat. Yep. 22 foot they're making now. Anybody that's thinking about a crappie rig, there's any number of suggestions, but honestly, when you get in big water, you can't get one big enough. That's just my opinion. I mean, if you got to deal with big waves and setting still with a set of rod holders and holders, and you got to be forced to stay there, the longer the boat, the better. And we fished out of a 22 foot 3-inch Ranger for all these years, and now Bass Cat now making a 22 footer. So we're gonna give it a shot. Be ready in March. We'll be looking a little different, maybe even going a little faster. Anyway, I know that there's any number of choices. People catch plenty of crappie out of small aluminum boats. These bass trackers right here at Bass Pro, very hard to beat. At home, mostly that's what's used in some of the small ox boats, and at home for sure around Reelfoot Lake, places where there's a lot of stumps and structure and stuff. That's just a common boat. But anyway, any other questions, y'all, that I could answer? Crappie get. Yep. 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 Man, daily, in and out for sure. You're gonna catch more fish the smaller the weight. Most of the time. There's gonna be times in the fall of the year, particularly it's in the fall, when moving fast to really get you more bites. It's not that the fish don't notice it. What they're doing is following it. And in the fall, they'll just follow it until it gets to a speed, I think, where they feel like it's going to get away from them. And then they'll strike at it. And instead of just nipping at a live bait, basically just pulling the scales off his tail or something, they'll strike at it and get on. Sometimes we've won tournaments both ways. I have to say that. We were pushing 2-ounce sinkers one year here at Grenada, really, really, really fast. It was a really funny looking rig. I mean, I said, I can't believe we catch a fish with this rig. But it took a 2-ounce to hold us down to go fast enough to get the bite. And we had 50 boats fishing around us, and we come out on top with that rig. And it was about 7 foot of water, and I was moving. But on the other hand, there is so much difference in a 1/4-ounce minnow rig and a 3/8 that it's unreal on our home lake at Reelfoot Lake. I can go out there and out catch you simply because I'm using a 1/4 versus you using a 3/8. And that's if you get it to a half, I'm really going to get you. And that's how much difference it is. And that's plain noticing the difference. I mean, there's sometimes we'd leave here at Grenada and go home with a set of rigs that's rigged up for fishing Grenada and try to fish with the same set at home and get us maybe a few fish for a fish fry, and it almost won't happen. That's how much difference. Same time of year, it's just different. It's different. They're much more finicky there. They don't want to bite as aggressively as these do down here. So backing off the weight size is going to get you more bites every time. One more time. I just get the minnow rigs and wind them big heavy ones up and put the other ones on, and that's what most people would do too. Yeah, you definitely, whatever you got to do. If you want to cut off the bottom and re-rig it, it's hard to do out there in the middle of the day, especially if you got any wind or weather problems for sure. But best to just take some variety. Those 1/4s and 3/8 on the light side are our favorite. We get in deep water, 18, 20 foot, 22 foot. We're in the 3/4 to 1 ounce range most all the time. On the B&M minnow rigs, I don't know if you've looked at every one of them or not, but as you increase in sinker size, the hooks are further distance apart, and also the leaders are a little bit longer. That basically helps you cover more of the vertical water column is what it's doing. And that's back in the days with the blindfold, right? So we got Garmin now. We'd be a whole lot more efficient even at that, as far as putting it where they are. When you're seeing them coming at you, you might want to wind up. It's usually now vertical, or it's up or down. We got the horizontal thing figured out. We just got to keep the bait in front of the fish. You may be fishing too deep, you may be fishing way too shallow. So now that we can see the fish, it's basically adjust your line to where the fish is. And that's a constant thing. Every fish is not at every depth all the time. Sometimes they are, a majority in a column. But in the spring, they could be right on the bottom. They could be right on the top. So being able to see them is going to really help everybody out now. And, a lot of activity up there. If you're trying to multi-pole and do this thing, push the bait to them. it's going to be a lot of activity still, maybe more than we have ever done in the past to keep it to the right depth in front of a fish, you know. So I don't know what's next, but it sure is fun to know now what we've been not seeing in front of us. A lot more. The picture of a crappie fisherman will probably change a lot. We'll look like bass fishermen out in open water before it's over. There'll be a lot of people that'll just need one rod. There's already a lot of people now that's only carrying one or two. Yep, in their boat.
About splitting fish,
Yep,
25 feet, 45 feet away.
25, yep.
Okay. What is the possibility of having another team boat go to the other side and drive them?
Double team them, all right. We might have to work on that. See, I don't know. I'll give you that answer next year.
Okay.
I could get Drew to help me out, see? I get Drew to push them to me. We'll turn all of our stuff off. You tell me where to put the hook, right? Well, I'm telling you, just with that technology in our hand, it's amazing to me how many fish are in our lake that we are not catching, which is a blessing, for there to be. And it's a great feeling to know we got that many in places where, man, we have wore that place out. No, yeah, you got the dummies out of the way. I think that's what basically we've done is caught the dummies, but there's some very smart ones out there that I don't think they'll ever get caught. The way I seen them react this year,
I see them come up there and just look at it, turn around, look at it,
gone.
look at it.
Not gonna bite it. Not gonna bite it. I know, it's amazing, but boy, is it fun to see them do that. You know, it's also fun to see them come up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop it down right on their nose. They're gonna
Yep.
take it.
Good deal. Well, I hope we helped out some sort of way. Yeah.
Do you think the lake limits on the lakes affected root?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. We're getting fish now that are, you know, if you can get a fish that's in the 5-year-old class, Stanley knows way more than I know, but you know, here in Mississippi, a couple years on a growth of a crappie in Grenada Lake, he's gonna make the limit, the 12-inch limit. At home, it takes 3 years to get one 10 inches. But definitely by allowing that fish to be released at 11 and a half, 11 3/4, or 12 even, he gets another chance at life to hopefully make it, you know, to the 14 or 15-inch class. I mean, there's no doubt about the management helping as long as you got the resource to grow the fish. At home, we're doing some of that, but it'll never be the same as it is in Grenada. You know.
Well, they built the hatchery down there to feed it. I just wondered if that's
We got the man to tell you all them answers about that right back here. You ought to shout at him before he gets out of here. But it's a whole lot into the biology of the fish. But I'm telling you, they've got it pegged definitely into. We're fishing in a different world than we were back in the 80s or 90s, and I think we're much better off now than we ever have been. So get out there and enjoy it. Any other questions, y'all?
You must need to have a 360, mega 360 if you got livestock.
You know, he's asking, is there a need to have the Mega 360 if he's already got a live scope? I'll tell you what I'm doing with mine. When we first got it, for sure, it was the best thing since the side image. Better than the side image. We're using ours now. I'll run mine on 95 feet all the time, where I used to run on 60 exclusively, almost. I'd run out to find some structure, but I will run ours on 95 versus 60 anymore, simply to pick up long distance structure, because my Garmin's running on 45. Basically, the Garmin's took the place of the 360 for me in a big way. Matter of fact, I'm covering 3 times the ground that the 360 did, because I'm a whole lot faster. This 360's, I'm going, so I'm 3 times faster really than I used to be. And that's basically a manual, spread the transducer manually. And structures can't hide. There's no hiding, you know. You can see one little twig out there, one stick, one stake. Each stake in the stake bed, you can count them all out, every fish. So that 360 is great for way out now, for sure. I wouldn't do without it still, but it's not at the top of the list of my arsenal.
Haven't really started dealing with it yet.
No, that's right. That Mega is supposed to be a lot clearer. I have not seen it. I have not used it yet. I'm sure it is. I don't know why they didn't give us to us first, right? Okay, somebody said it's past time, but I'm willing to answer any question. We'll be out here the rest of the night, and if y'all are thinking about getting rigged up for something different that you hadn't been trying, a jig set, rig set, minnow rig set, we'll give you our opinion on favorite stuff that we use, and there's almost never a tournament that we'll go to without a set of, like I said, set of minnow rigs on a pole, on a set of poles, and a set of jig sets on a pole. So that's something you probably ought to strive to get in your boat, but it'll save you a lot of time if you got two sets without a doubt, and keep you from rigging different rigs. But I appreciate y'all coming out. I didn't figure so many would be here on Friday night for a crappie seminar, but I do appreciate it. And I'll be here tomorrow, couple different periods there, and also we'll be here all day tomorrow. Really, just here, if y'all interested in boats or particulars, I'd be glad to answer any question you got. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.